Hey sixth graders, today you're going to be making your foldable about rocks. So after you have folded your foldable, you will start putting the information in it from this screencast. So on the front of your foldable, underneath the three rock types, igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic, what you are going to do is explain how that type of rock forms, so what processes it occurs to form that type of rock, and then any vocabulary that's highlighted in yellow in this slideshow. So we don't have that information yet, but as we get to it, I will tell you what you need to write down. On the inside top of your foldable, you're going to include examples, so names of different types of rocks, and we want at least 3 for each type. And on the inside bottom of your foldable, you'll see there's already some words there, so you're going to explain what each of those terms means. All right, so first we're going to start at sedimentary rocks. So one of the terms that you're going to write on the outside is strata. And strata are what we call horizontal layers of sedimentary rock. Now we've already talked about sedimentary rock layers when we did relative dating, and so those layers are just called strata. Sedimentary rocks are formed through some processes. So they're formed from weathering, so when rock is broken down into sediment. That sediment then gets eroded and deposited, so erosion and deposition. Then after it gets deposited, it gets compacted, or compaction, which is just kind of smashed down. And then they get cemented or glued together. So you're going to write these words on the outside under sedimentary. So pause if you need to. All right, the types of sedimentary rocks, and these are going to go on the inside, okay, by the words. So we have clastic sedimentary rocks, and these form when rock fragments just kind of get smashed together. We get chemical sedimentary rocks, which form when minerals that crystallize out of a solution, and we get limestone created this way. And then we have organic sedimentary rocks, and these form from the remains of living things. So oftentimes these rocks have fossils in them, and we have some of these to look at in the classroom. Clastic sedimentary rocks, we classify them by the size of their pieces. We have gravel sized or coarse, and an example of that would be conglomerate. We have medium or sand sized, and that would be sandstone. And we have clay sized or fine, and that would be siltstone. So here are some of our examples. So these are going to be listed in the top, inside top part of your foldable. So we have conglomerate, that's this one with the rounded pieces, and we have breccia, which is the angular pieces. Both of these would be coarse grained. You can see the different pieces, and there's larger pieces in them. Then we have sand-sized, which is medium, and this is sandstone. So we see a lot of this like in the Grand Canyon and down in the southwest part of the country. And we have clay-sized like shale, and we'll look at some shale in class as well. Chemical sedimentary rocks, one example would be chemical limestone. And then we also have rock salt and gypsum. And there's some pictures of gypsum up here and then rock salt. And organic sedimentary rocks, some examples would be coal and organic limestone. All right, the second type of rock is metamorphic rocks. And metamorphic rocks come from the Greek word meta, which means change, and morphic, which means shape. This is how metamorphic rocks form. They form under intense heat and pressure deep within the earth. So that's what we will write on the front of our foldable, heat and pressure. We group metamorphic rocks by their texture, so we have foliated and non-foliated. And these are on the inside of your foldable. These are the words that are already written there. And foliated is where minerals are aligned, like it looks like it's striped. And in non-foliated, it looks like they are not aligned, so it doesn't look striped. And we can see that on this slide. So what happens with metamorphic rocks is once they're, we have sedimentary rocks or igneous rocks or other metamorphic rocks that when they're exposed to heat and pressure, they turn into metamorphic rocks. So this is an example of shale, which is a sedimentary rock. And as we add heat and pressure, it turns into slate. Add more heat and pressure, and it turns into schist. And we add more heat and pressure and it turns into something called gneiss. And we notice that gneiss has those stripes on it, so we would say that gneiss is a foliated rock. Another example, when we have chemical limestone, we add heat and pressure and we get marble. And maybe some of you have countertops or fixtures in your bathroom made of marble. And marble is non-foliated, does not have those stripes. Then we have sandstone. We add heat and pressure to sandstone and we get something called quartzite. And quartzite is not striped, so it is non-foliated. We have two ways that metamorphic rocks form, and one is called contact metamorphism, and that was when hot magma squeezes into existing rock, and it only changes the rocks that are near or touching the magma, so that heat and pressure kind of heats it up and causes them to change. And we also have regional metamorphism, and this is movement of tectonic plates against each other, and this changes rocks over many hundred square kilometers. And we'll talk about tectonic plates in our next unit a little bit more. But that would be more with pressure. So you can kind of see how that happens. So on the outside of your foldable under metamorphic, you're also going to write regional, which is tectonic activity in a region, and contact, which is contact with hot magma. So pause it if you need to finish those notes. The third type of rock is igneous rocks, and igneous rocks begin as magma. So magma forms either when rock is heated, when pressure is released, or when a rock changes composition. Okay, but that magma then eventually cools, forming a rock. And so on the front of our foldable under igneous, we're going to write that it starts as magma cools. We can categorize this as felsic or mafic, and we're going to write these on the front as well. So felsic is light-colored rocks, and they're rich in certain elements. And then we have mafic, which are darker-colored rocks that are have different elements in them. And we classify them as intrusive or extrusive. And this has to do with where they form. And these are the words on the inside of your foldable. So intrusive, we have that in at the beginning, which means that they form inside of Earth or under the surface. And they cool really, really slowly because it's insulated and they can't cool really fast. And so we get these large crystals or coarse-grained rocks. So we can kind of see the different pieces. And extrusive igneous rocks form after the magma has exited, so maybe it came out of a volcano or squeezed up through an intrusion. But what it does then is it erupts onto Earth's surface and cools, and it usually cools pretty quickly, and so there's not time for any crystals to form. So we get small crystals or no crystals. So this results in fine-grained rocks. And here are some examples of some igneous rocks. We're going to look at a whole bunch of them in class as well. So list a few of those, at least 3, on the inside top of your foldable. All right, so when you're done with this, you are ready to move on to the lab.